All right, so I had to split this one because unfortunately we had some time zone differences and he had to go do something, I had to do something. So this is the second half of my interview. So first question is, what kind of work have you done throughout your lifetime? What jobs
Kind
have
of
you
work.
taken?
What jobs have I done in my lifetime? I delivered newspapers early on as a child. I planted tomatoes at a tomato called a hot house. I drove a tractor, various farm skills. In the last 3 years of high school, I worked at a gas station in the night on the night shift. Then I went into the army, and in the army, I was a radio repairman, electronics. I did that for a number of years. I eventually got bored and went to what they call airborne and started jumping out of airplanes. And that led me into the special forces guys. I worked with them. I am not a special forces soldier myself. I just worked with those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that getting in there led me to a lot of other special schools for the special forces. For example, I was in Germany and they would send me back to the United States to learn how to fix something. They would send me right to the company, like um, Phoenix, Arizona. I'd go down there and learn how to fix something, and I might fly to New York and learn how to fix something. So I flew back
Mm-hmm.
and forth a lot. Um, then eventually, the Army made me become a recruiter. I didn't want to do that, but I had to. I did it well. And then I went back into the regular Army for the last part of my retirement, and I was in electronics again. But this time, my job was to supervise all of the other repairmen, which were several different kinds. Then I retired
Mm-hmm.
and became a financial officer for a bank. Didn't like that, and then I went back into electronic repairing computers on the military base there at Fort Bragg for the special forces, and eventually became a civilian contractor doing that for about 6 years. And then finally, the last paying job I had was I was a what they call a GS11 um, computer specialist. So I worked for the special forces to purchase all of their computers, do all the paperwork, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I retired,
Just
worked
living
on the
life.
farm, living life. I didn't do mostly mostly traveled,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, took care of
How
you and
has
your brother.
payment changed
How's
after all
payment?
these years of working?
Uh, Clarify your question a little more.
Like the economy has drastically inflated over the years. So like, how was payment in the military compared to
Oh,
after military?
excellent question. When I first joined the army, I think I was making about $400 a month. A month. That ain't a whole lot.
Dang, that's not a lot.
And then I went to, as you know, Korea and met your mom, and not your mom, but your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
And we still lived on like $400 a month. So payment early on in the military was not that great. As I continued to get promoted and whatnot, the end of the story is at the very end, payment was decent. It was okay. It was enough to buy a house and live on and do all right. Compared to when I got out of the military, I made a lot more money. That's just physically how it works. So better money as a civilian, and I didn't have to travel. Soldiers
Mm-hmm.
put up with a lot. They're not paid very well. It,
Who are your favorite presidents and who was your least favorite president?
I'd have to say um, my favorite president would have to have been Ronald Reagan. He was a very elegant speaker. He was a good-looking guy physically,
Mm-hmm.
and he always seemed to everything that he said seemed to be encouraging. That was his. Um, that's what he did. I also admired John F. Kennedy, even though he was a Democrat, and I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Republican
He
by
was a good
heart.
one.
But he was a very good Democrat, and again, he was very encouraging. So, I know those two. I didn't. I saw Kennedy, but I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't old enough to do anything. But I lived under Reagan, and he's very good to the military. Reagan was one of the first people that gave military some decent pay raises. My least favorite would have to be Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
The boy from Arkansas, I think, had no morals. And I think it was the beginning of respect. It was the end, END, the end of respect for the office of the President of the United States through his sexual scandals and his lies. Um, you know, a man that is married and has oral sex in the Oval Office has no respect for me. Zero, none.
Mm-hmm.
He was serving in the highest position in our government, in our society, and he degraded that more than once. So I have zero respect for the man, none.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I've seen Bill Clinton with my own eyes about 3 times, and I could care less. I Bill Clinton, hands down, Bill Clinton, worst
Mm-hmm.
ever.
How has technology changed since your upbringing?
Eh. Well, when I was a youth, there were no computers. There were some, but they were, the government had them. The first computer I ever touched was a Timex Sinclair 1000, about the size of a piece of bread. It had 16K K memory, and you had to program because I was learning. I love computers early on. You'd have to uh, type it out on the keyboard and save it to a cassette, and then you'd play the cassette back, and it would show you on the TV what you did. I mean, look at us now. We're talking on the phone
Mm-hmm.
with, with some amazing power. Having been in the computer industry and having worked in computers for 30 years, I've watched the transition. The first computer that I owned that was really good, I bought at Sears for $3,000. It was a
Dang,
lot of money,
that is
and
a
that's
lot.
like buying one for 6,000 today. But I purchased that because I I I thought that this was going to be a a future work path for me, a future employment, and it turned out that it was. I used to build. I used to have to take and put the microchips in the motherboard itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've evolved. Nowadays, computers are throwaways. You order one, you use it for a couple of years, and toss it away. 20 years ago, you had to build it yourself if you wanted a good one. And
Mm-hmm.
because I was in electronics, I was able to do that. So they have changed immensely, exponentially to be precise. I mean, we went from, you know, 64K to 128, 256, 512, 1024. I mean, it just kept doubling as time would go on, and just now
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what computers are right now because I don't build them anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
you probably know
What
more
would you
than I do.
say is the most impactful invention or
Impactful
technological
invention.
advancement in the past 20, 30 years?
I would have to say what we're on right now, the cell phone, has had the greatest impact on society of anything. I mean, several years ago, when I would see literally grandma and grandpa talking about, "Oh, you got to see this app," that was just fun to watch actually,
Mm-hmm.
because we were able to place into an older generation's hand a device that they could only imagine on Star Trek. You know, like now, video conferencing, talking to each other,
Mm-hmm.
unthinkable. Actually, if you watch some of the older movies and you see people pull up a flip phone or even a dial-up phone,
Mm-hmm.
you go, "Wow, how did they even?" So if it's cell phone, right now I'm sitting. Um, I don't know how far is the nearest town, Heather. 50 miles?
Well,
Minus
minus
Huntington, a
Huntington.
big town.
Yeah, probably 50.
Probably 50 miles to a nearest town. There's no way to communicate out here other than what we're doing now. But I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to
Field, Oregon.
I could be on, yeah, it's part of the old Oregon Trail. I could be on top of a mountain and us do what we're doing right now. So the cell phone to me is it has been one of the greatest inventions and one of the greatest detriments to our society. And that's a whole
Mm,
nother topic right there. All the bad things that come from cell phones and their use.
So what kind of bad things?
What kind of bad things?
Always.
I think that handing a cell phone to anyone under the age of 18 gives them access to uh, things that they shouldn't see. Pornography. Um, I think that
Way too
I think there are things and topics that are
old.
far above the thinking, the cognitive power of a young person that they're exposed to. And I think because of that, um, a lot of exposure and a lot of social media and opinions of kids, opinions of children to other children, um, causes some bad thought processes.
Mm.
Uh,
As
yeah,
technology improves, people just keep handing it to younger and younger kids.
younger
Like
and younger, and
you'll see
I
3-year-olds with tablets all the time now.
yeah. See, I don't. And the problem too is media. We love to say that it doesn't. We love to think that media does not babysit a lot of American children and kids, but it does. You see cars going down the road at nighttime, and you see a big blue screen in the back of someone's seat. Well, kid is watching a video. You know, and no concept of where they're at or what's going on around them. Just they're focused on the media. Going to a restaurant and first thing you know, all the families, everybody pulls out. Uh, there's actually some good websites that Heather and I have seen that shows cell phones taken to the extreme, if you want, like growing out of people's ears, and
Mm.
their brain, part of their brain has become a cell phone. It's just so invasive. People don't know how to put them down. They're very addictive. Very, so,
How has clothing style changed over the years?
um, yeah, you see, I'm not a fashionista. um, I'm not very well versed, and I don't dress my age. They say,
Mm.
I don't dress like a 60-year-old or 70-year-old or whatever I will be. I'm not into that. But I will say that there's been a couple of trends that were disturbing, like having your pants hang around your off your butt. I don't see the point.
Mm.
Hats turned backwards. Don't see the point. I mean, why wear a hat if you got it turned backwards? I mean, what's it doing for you? So
Mm. I think for the most part, it was because it was like a sun visor for your neck, but then it just became something that
it's
they
fat.
chose to
Yeah,
do.
maybe some baseball player did it. I don't know. To me, fashion is simply this. If I am purchasing something, well, I'll give you an example. Uh, Little Nas X. You know who that is?
Mm.
Yeah, there you go. You know what Lil Nas X is, man. He be gay and he be, whatever.
Back to universe.
But, but 2, 3 weeks ago, he released a video, and you've heard about the sneaker scenario.
Yeah, I heard
He
about the
his blood
sneakers.
in there, and it's only gonna be 666 pairs of Lil Nas blood in there. Yeah, those sold out in like an hour.
They were
Gone,
gone in like 20 minutes.
gone at $1,000 a pop. So I'm
Mm.
thinking this guy's brilliant. He is brilliant. He can sell 600 sneakers and make $500,000. Didn't cost him probably $30 to make them. So
They're just shoes.
they're just $1,000 a pop. What is more interesting is most of those probably won't even be worn. They'll be resold at 2,000 or 3,000.
Because now they're limited. Because
They're limited to
Nike
collector's
had a
items.
restraining order.
The problem I have with that is it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Who do you know that has $1,000 to just give up for a pair of shoes? I don't know anyone that
Especially
does,
during COVID.
especially during COVID. Supposedly we're all in a crisis here. So
Mm.
there's things like that that occur in society that to me are it's just sheer foolishness. I guess from an investment point of view, if I was smart enough to have purchased three pairs of those at 3,000 and could sell them for six, that's that's democracy. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
do.
It's capitalism.
But as a trend, when I see people wearing, they've got to either all have brand clothes, either Nike or Adidas, whatever the brand they choose, and then that person who's wearing a Nike shirt, Nike pants, Nike sneakers looks at someone who's wearing Adidas shirt and a pair of Levi's like, dude, you can't even get it together. I mean, fashion has woven its way into the mentality, I think, of some of the younger generations to where they feel they have to look a certain way or purchase certain items to be someone, and I find that disturbing. I think you
Mm-hmm.
can be someone in a dirty T-shirt and an unnamed pair of shorts and sneakers that you got from a thrift shop. It's all about the character of the individual, not what they are wearing. What you are wearing is insignificant to me. It really is. I've met some really beautiful, bright people in my life who could care less about fashion. And I've met some fashionistas in my lifetime that I wish they would read a book every once in a while because they're missing out on so much. They could tell you everything about fashion, what's cool, what's hip, what's not. But when it comes to having some substance in their soul and in their brain, a little bit slacking. A little bit
Mm-hmm.
slacking. Now, again, I'm not equating someone who knows about fashion with someone that doesn't automatically make them that kind of a person. Um, I have no objection to being a well clothed, a well dressed if you can afford such activity. But like anything, taking to an extreme, um, I think it's detrimental. I really do. And the fashion industry are not idiots. Obviously, they make billions and billions by using celebrities and advertising to target youth to persuade them to be cool, man, or whatever it is they're doing. So yeah, there's a whole world out there of fashion. Has it changed? Yes. You don't have bell bottoms anymore. Yeah.
What are those?
Yeah. Well, there you go. See, bell bottoms are pants that come down and they curve out at the bottom, literally like a bell.
Oh,
Flare out. And I've seen them come around. The style wise, they've come around.
seen a
Back
lot
in
of
the
those in the 80s
'70s,
and
we had
90s.
we had collars that come way out here. I mean, you put a shirt on and the shirt collar was like way out here, look like wings. I mean, if you look at fashion from the '60s to '70s and even some of the mid '80s, um, current generation wears nothing like that.
I
Not
think
only just the colors, but the
thinking
styles. The
Back to the Future, Marty
Yeah, there you go.
Wahlberg. Yeah, he had the
Yeah,
bell bottoms in the third one.
yeah, the bell bottoms and the big collared shirts and all that. So, and even the hairstyles were different. So, again, I don't follow that very much. For me, I go in and buy what's usually on sale. You know,
I just want what's comfortable.
that's the key. Is it current? See, like this shirt. Actually, this shirt is from a friend of mine's band, his old band. But it is a super comfy shirt. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love him
Hmm.
too. But anyway. So I'm not a real good source when it comes to fashion, but it definitely has changed. Um, how's it changed? Military, Army guys can now go off base in their BDUs into a store. You didn't do that when I was, a private. You would get in some serious trouble. Soldiers can wear sunglasses now in uniform. Couldn't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of things, even in the military, a lot of it has changed. We always had to travel in our Class A, the full suit, with the tie. Yeah, not anymore. So things have gotten more relaxed, I suppose,
Hmm.
and some too relaxed. You ever heard of Wall Martians?
I don't think so,
Look
no.
it up, Google it. There's a website called, I think it's called Wall Martians. These are
People with
people. These are people in Walmart dressed in things that you probably don't even want to see.
I'll save that for another day.
Walmart. It's pretty bad. And the sad part of that is if you look through the Walmartians page, you'll see people with things that would embarrass you. I would be embarrassed if you were in my house just wearing that, much less be in public,
Hmm.
with your butt hanging out, or I don't know. It's you'll see some of the pictures another day.
There's some weird
I
stuff.
think society, if you look at historical photos for the most part, Jordan, you will almost always see the men and women well dressed. They were all looking good. It was almost, some. Of course, pictures weren't as easily gotten back then. Nevertheless, even people don't dress well anymore. They're pretty sloppy. So there you go. That's a word. It's gone from nice, neat to sloppy. People are just sloppy.
What advice would you give to future generations?
Um, don't follow the crowd probably be the biggest one. People who follow the crowd uh, quickly lose their own way. There's nothing wrong with following a crowd of people or an idea that you have thoroughly researched yourself, and now you're willing to participate in that group. Um, the problem I see today is your generation and newer are far too easily swayed by social media. Um, they don't do the research themselves. They depend on other people to do that.
Hmm.
So that's probably one of my biggest ones is don't follow the crowd. Do your own thinking. Nothing wrong if you want to take a stance on something, whatever that is, as long as you're convinced in your mind and your heart, and you are thoroughly convinced. Uh, but you're also willing to change if someone brings new information to you. That's a good thing. Uh, yeah. Don't trust the media. Would be the biggest thing. Don't trust the media. And because you Google it, doesn't make it right. You, you can find a topic and almost instantly get a group of people for it and a group of people against it. Almost any topic you can think of. Anything. And then there's splinters off of that. The question is, what have you done? What does your research tell you? Not what they thought, but what does the actual research tell you? Um, and your life experiences. Far too easy to be persuaded. So I tell the future generation, just because you see it on this thing,
Hmm.
or come through as a some yeah, I'm skeptical, very skeptical. So that'd be it. Be
If you could,
cautious.
sorry, if you could
Be
live
cautious
another
and do
life,
your own thing.
would
Do
you?
your own thinking. Sorry. If I could what?
If you could live another life, would you want to, or are you happy with the life you have?
Uh, I'm happy with the life I've have and had. If I would not want to go through some of the painful events in my life again. I would have no desire to do that again. Um, I think I think from the age that you're at now, 18,
Hmm.
18 years old, to about 30, can be some of the most painful, um, some of the most painful times of your life because a lot of things are new. It's the human heart wants to trust and love, and when those things are violated, your brain does a reset. It may say, "Oh, can't trust people, can't love," So there's a lot of life learning from your age until I think you're 25 or 30 years old that um, was difficult, and I've
Hmm.
had some difficulties in my life. So no, so the I think the answer is no. I wouldn't I wouldn't trade what I know right now and have to go do all of that again. I'm to a point now where uh, I think things through for the most part. I'm pretty set in my ways when it comes to a lot of topics and issues, although I'm willing with that new information.
Hmm.
And No, I don't. I don't think I would. I would. If I could wave the magic wand, as they say, would I go back and do it all over again? If I could go back with the knowledge I have right now, oh yeah, I would. I would definitely do it again. But that isn't
Mhm.
possible. This cat hates me. You can tell.
Just let me off.
Anyway, she likes to just randomly come. Hi, say hi to Jordan. Very good. Blue eyes. So no, I wouldn't do it again. I'd
Mm.
like to be. I'd like to know what I know now and be like 30 years old. So I could get out there and do a little bit more, not wake up with aches and pains in the morning. But other than that, I'm good. It's been a good life. It was good watching you and your brother grow up.
Mm. Do you have anything else you would like to add before we end this?
No, I don't think so. I think this originally started off with us talking about race issues and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I think it's a very complicated topic. I think there are a lot of uh, the only thing I would add was I have seen early versions of prejudice, both physically, verbally, emotionally, and where I'm at today, I can see those things. But I have seen some people successfully lose that mentality. It's taken time, but it's more a matter of heart than it is laws. I don't think we will ever be able to legislate prejudice away. You can't legislate me to like you. I have to
Mm-hmm.
do that of my own accord. And I think our society is the same way. I think the more laws and screws that you put on people, for some people, I think it makes them more angry. But it will change. I think it will eventually change some people. I'm hopeful that it will change some people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a unique position of having a background that is totally white, but a foreground or after me that is mixed, with having married a Korean and my older brother married a German, my younger brother married a Spanish. So I was born a particular way, and some thought patterns were introduced to me early on. But after we left the home, all of us brothers went different ways and began to see life differently. So there is the possibility of change,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So I'm hopeful that people can change. That's about it.
Well, thank you for your time. I
Yes, sir.
I learned a lot, and I hope anyone else who watches this will also learn a lot.
Cool beans.
And I believe that will be all for today. So thank you, and I will see you later.
Okay. Bye.